All right, coming to you this week on the video. Recording it on Monday this week because I've got some stuff going on this week. I need to get the video for this week out of the way and into your hands because for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm going to visit my dad tomorrow in Maine. And I'm also pretty wide open for this upcoming weekend. So I want to get the word out about openings before we get too deep in the week to give you all a chance to book if you've been thinking of booking. So starting this week's video inside one of our cabins. This is cabin number 8. So the particular group renting this cabin have opted to not get linens provided by me. They specifically asked that we do not provide linens. So all I have to do to get this cabin ready is to get it cleaned up. And what you're seeing is basically how it was left by the previous renters. So the previous renters did a fairly decent job. A little bit of trash I'll have to pick up, but they did a fairly decent job at cleaning up after themselves. There's a spoon in the drying rack there, but otherwise, you know, everything is fairly clean. So this should be a quick and easy turnover for me. Not a whole lot to do here. Especially where I don't have to make any beds. First part of this video is I'm just going to go ahead and get this cabin ready, and we will pick up the video on the other side once this cabin is ready to go, and we'll start talking site availability, stuff coming up, and I don't know, we'll see what comes to mind in terms of what we have going on this week. Alright, we're down here in the bathhouse, down underneath the office now, only using the bathhouse for laundry facilities. That's why you see all the laundry baskets in here and totes and whatnot. This is where we do our laundry for the rental units. As of right now, these bathhouses are closed because the drain lines don't work all that great. It just can't handle human solids going down through the pipes. So we have a gray water only situation in these bathrooms down here. So for that reason I've closed the bathrooms to the public, and we do the porta potty that you can see just outside the bathroom. So we're done setting up the cabin for our renter that's coming in today. So that is sitting there. The floors have been mopped, everything is tidy and clean and ready to go, and by the time they get here those floors should be completely dry and ready for our renters to move in. So down here just to do another load of laundry before we move on to talking about the sites we have coming up for this weekend. All right, so the laundry I've been working on is actually the laundry from this past weekend. All 6 of my units were taken this weekend, and I'm just now getting, well, I've been working on getting all of the laundry done that we got to do. As part of having these rental units is you're going to have sheets and pillows, cases and towels and all that stuff to clean every time it turns over. So I've already finished the laundry for my personal camper and the laundry for the camper on site 9. I just put that in here. We're going to deliver that to the camper. And then the laundry for cabin number 8 is going to stay in here in this basket. All that's left to put in here is a bunch of towels. The towels, the dark colored towels still have yet to go, but everything else linens wise for that cabin is right here. Since the customer requested not to get linens from me, this basket is going to stay in here. And then after that's done, we've got the other 3 units. So right now in the washer is the last of the linens for camper number 2. We had just a couple in there over the weekend. And then these 2 are cabin 6, which I believe is this one. And then the last one is the camper out here on the beach. We're about halfway through getting all of the laundry done. I don't have any rentals till like Friday or Saturday other than the cabin 8 coming today, so there's no real rush to get it done. It does take a little bit of time to get through it, but we'll get through it. It's part of doing business. Let's start talking about campsites that we have available for this upcoming week, shall we? Now, since we're down here on the beach, let's talk about this camper right here. This camper is available for this upcoming weekend. Obviously that can change. The weekend is 5 days away, and bookings will certainly come in for this week, but for the most part, across the whole park, we are wide open for this upcoming weekend. And a lot of that is because the following weekend, next weekend, it's Labor Day weekend. And that's a big time off weekend for a lot of people. So not a lot of people are going to take 2 weekends off in a row. So that means this weekend is a great opportunity to snag some sites. If there's a particular site or a particular rental unit you've been wanting to try at our property, this would be a great weekend to do just that. So anyway, so this camper right here is available for this upcoming weekend. It's a great little spot. You get the whole beach, and right now, as you can see, the beach is empty, and on a morning like this you would have the whole beach to yourself. Of course, it comes with a grill. You got some outdoor furniture there, a little fire pit, that is your fire pit. And then you've got beach access, which actually is a public space. So anybody who's staying here in the campground can use this space, as well as Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, any member of the public can come in and pay a fee and use the beach anytime they want to go swimming and whatnot. So I know I've mentioned it a couple times on the videos in the past couple of weeks, but yes, we have opened the beach to the public. Unfortunately, we are open only during the week, Monday through Friday, 10 to 4. And that was to keep all of my camping people happy. After all, this is a campground. They are my primary customers. And they would prefer that they have public or private beach access when they are here. So that is why I'm only opening the beach right now, Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, so that we're not crowding the beach up with a bunch of people from the general public when the campers are here on the weekend. So anyway, I've gone through my spiel on that in other videos. That's where we stand for right now, and that's the way it will be for the rest of this season. Let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the campground, and we'll go up to the landing next. We're here on the landing. We've got 5 sites here on the landing, and as of right now, the only spots that we have taken are the 2 right behind me. This is site 3, and behind that, site 4. These are our 2 primary RV spots here on the landing. They can accommodate huge campers all the way, because you can go all the way out to the road if necessary. And these 2 spots are always the first to go when people go on our site and book. So if you're trying to get it one of these 2 sites, it is getting increasingly difficult as our campground is becoming more and more popular to get your hands on these 2 sites. But as of the moment, the 2 sites that are right here behind me are taken for this weekend, and actually for the first time in a while, site number 5, that small one right over there, is actually taken for this weekend. So the only thing I've got available for this weekend here on the landing is site number 1, which is over here on the corner. You're pretty much seeing everything that you get. You've got the picnic table and fire pit over to the left there, and then the camper would sit right along the fence there. Your hookups are right there behind, or right against the fence. So we have unit number 2, which is our family camper. This has more beds on it than any other camper on our property, and there's 4 bunks in the back, and there's a regular bed in the front, and of course the couch and dinette also turn into a bed if that was absolutely necessary. But it's highly unusual with that many bunks that you're going to have that many people in that camper where you're going to need to use the couch and dinette for sleeping space. But anyway, so looking at this weekend coming up, the campground is largely empty this weekend, but that is not the case for here on the landing. These sites have already been spoken for, but most of the sites we have on the property are still available. So let's move on to go check out some of the sites that we have available for this weekend. All right, this here is site number 6. This is the cabin the lower cabin. It's close to the road. And this cabin actually is available this weekend. It was booked up until yesterday for just Saturday night, but that person canceled, so this cabin is fully available for this weekend coming up. It is the lower of our two cabins. The upper one is right just there, and that one is taken this week, but they leave on Friday. So if you wanted a Friday, Saturday stay in this cabin, that cabin is also available for this weekend. It's just not available for an early arrival, like a Wednesday or Thursday arrival, but this one is. And another note on this one here, this is cabin 6. On Airbnb, I am running an experiment with this one, and I am running this one on a one-night booking minimum. It's the only rental unit that I've got on the property that I allow just a single night stay. And the reason being that we have a 2-night stay minimum is basically because of the work that's involved in turning over. You know, after somebody leaves, we've got to have somebody go in and strip the beds, clean the cabin top to bottom, or the camper, or whatever the rental unit is, do all the laundry, and then put the clean laundry back in, make all the beds again, get everything set up for the next camper. So it's a lot of work. And for that reason, I have a minimum 2-night stay on all of our other rental units on every booking system, except for this one cabin. I'm running an experiment on Airbnb, and I'm allowing a single night stay here on the property for this one cabin. So if you were looking on Airbnb and wanted to stay just one night with us, this is where you'll end up staying. So you'll want to look for this cabin right here. And so far it's been fairly successful. We've had a few one-night bookings on that cabin, and after the season I'll sit down and figure out if it was really worth it. And the best way to tackle this setup on this cabin is, for this cabin I have actually 2 sets of linens for this cabin for that reason. So when I go in and change it over from one to the next, I don't have to go through the process of waiting for the laundry to be finished. I have a clean set ready to go, so when I go in, I pull the old stuff out, clean the cabin, put the new stuff in immediately, and then I can do the laundry on that during the day and get ready for the next booking on that cabin. So, and I've actually had already a situation where I had 3 bookings in 3 days in that cabin, and it actually went over well, having 2 sets of linens for that cabin. I was able to essentially change it over quickly and then get it ready for the next user, and then while that person is in there, I'm doing the laundry for the next day for the next person to come in. So it actually worked out quite well, having multiple sets. But I don't have multiple sets for every single unit on the property. That is an absolutely ton of linens to be carrying, and that stuff doesn't come cheap. So so for right now, I only have this one set up as a one-night rental, and everything else is a minimum 2-night. Let's go ahead and move on to our tent sites. All right, we're going to pause for a little bit here on site number 7. Only because most weeks I just breeze right by this campsite without even giving it a second look. And quite frankly, I think it's a really good site. It's nice and wide. You can actually fit a camper in here, and then have plenty of space for camping. You can also get decent views of the lake from here. You're just above the pavilion, so if we have any kind of an event going on down at the pavilion, this is the closest tent site to that. And you've got a really good fire pit here, and if you're sitting here on the fire looking down, you've got yes, you've got a tool shed right there, but you also have lake views and beach views just beyond that. So it's not a bad little site. If you want a tent site with a lake view, it's a great site. We do have water right here on the site, and we do have a sewer connection right here, although that sewer connection is a bit older. There's a second sewer connection here, which is a lot newer, and this is the one I would recommend that you use if you're going to do it. And the way I would do a camper in this situation is I would probably back it in on this side of the campsite, or even pull it in forward if you're not going to be going anywhere, and then use this part of the campsite as your outdoor space. And that way you can plug in your sewer connection here, and then yeah, water connection here. It's a little awkward, but it's because of the age of the campground. And there is a power outlet there, but this is not active. In fact, underneath this little switch box right here, you can see there's a fuse, an old style fuse. So this is one of the things I'm going to be upgrading probably this fall once the campground is closed and I'm not having to deal in the day-to-day park maintenance to get it ready for guests coming in. Along with the fall cleanup, one of the things I want to do is upgrade a lot of these electrical boxes so I can turn them on and give 15 amp power along with the water here on this site. So yeah, this would be a full hookup site. It'll be a 15 amp or 20 amp full hookup site once I get the power upgraded, but it will be a full hookup site for a camper that can still operate on just 20 amps instead of 30. But yeah, this is site number 7, directly across from cabin number 8. All right, as you come up the hill from site number 7, which is right through those trees, you come up to this twin site area. This is site number 9 right here, and behind it, site number 11. There's 2 sites in here. As of right now, site number 11 is a tent site, but I'll tell you in a moment what my plan for this one is next summer. And we are sitting directly across, just up the hill from cabin number 8, and directly across from one of our seasonals here. So generally they only come up on the weekends, so if you come up during the week, you pretty much have this whole area to yourself. There's no other campsites around. All right, so site number 9, this is one of our rental units. This is the largest rental unit on the property, and it is great for accommodating large families. You've got 2 bunk beds in the back and a dinette that can convert to a bed, and then you've got a full bedroom up front, and then a large bathroom in the middle, along with the kitchen living area. And the deck on this one is probably our biggest deck. I haven't actually measured it, but it certainly feels like it. But it certainly has the best outdoor furniture of any of our rental units, with the nice steel outdoor furniture. And then of course you get a grill and a fire pit. And there is an additional power outlet here. Again, this is part of the upgrade project that I'm planning. I don't have that turned on at the moment, but eventually when I replace all of these outlets to something a little bit more modern, I will get these turned on. Not sure exactly what that one would be used for, since you already have power set up here, but that would be available to use. All right, let's move over to site number 11, which is behind this site. And this is our longest tent site on the property. This site can accommodate a really large camper if you wanted to park here, and it is super level. So this is site number 11, and as you can see, some of our renter that had it this weekend left some wood behind. So we'll generally, what we do, if you have extra wood that we haven't that you haven't burned, what we'll do, since I'm seeing this wood here, so I'll let you know what we do with this. What we do is we take this wood, and this looks like wood that was bought elsewhere. That doesn't look like wood that we have, that we sell here on the property. But anyway, any extra wood that gets left behind, if you don't want to use it, just go ahead and leave it behind, and we will add it to the wood pile down in our big community fire pit. So it doesn't go to any one person, it just goes to the community at large, and we just add it to the community fire pit area. But this site 11 does come with a nice little fire pit, obviously a picnic table, but it's a very long site. And over here on this pedestal we have power and water. Again, this power currently is not on, but we will be upgrading it and turning it on for next summer. And then we've got the water over here, and then there actually is a sewer connection right here. So but for next summer, my plan for this site is my personal camper I'm actually going to put up here. So what we'll have is basically a 2 camper compound, so to speak, for renting for large parties. So if you have a large group that needs more than one camper, I'm going to have my camper and this camper right here side by side. This one is in forward. This is the front of the camper, and the back of the camper is over there. Mine's going to be the other way, so it's going to sit right here. It's going to sit basically right here, right next to this. So the part of the camper that you step out of and you camp from is going to be on this side. It's just going to be on this side, and then when you exit, this camper is on the other side. So they're kind of opposite each other, but they are going to be sitting right next to each other. So for privacy, all you'll need to do is just close the shades on either camper if you're renting one or the other. But if you have a large group, the advantage here is you've got two campers on this one site. You can accommodate big parties, and then you have all this space to play with. So my camper will sit out to about here, and that will give you all this outdoor space that you can use outside your campsite. So that is the plan for site number 11. That does a couple of things. Number one, number 11, the site I'm on now, doesn't get rented very often. Not sure why. It's a great site. It's easy to back into, but not many people rent it, and certainly not many people get it as a tent site. Maybe it's because of the proximity to this camper here. They don't want neighbors that close, and yes, they are close. But like I said, closing the shades basically creates that barrier and gives you plenty of privacy. And number two, right now my camper is taking up one of the full hookup sites down below. So yeah, that's the plan for next summer. My personal camper will be on this site alongside this one, and that will free up a site down there that anybody can rent for the weekend. That will have give us a little bit more capacity to get more people in here on the weekend. All right, let's continue up the hill to the tent sites up on the top. All right, we are up here on the hill. I'm sitting here in site number 15. And want to talk about the tent sites for a minute. Basically, we're at the top of the hill. It's nice and level and flat up here. We've got trailer parking over here in this corner. No sites in that corner. I could squeeze another site in there, but for now we just use it as extra vehicle parking because people do bring ATVs and trailers and such, and sometimes they don't fit on these sites. So we just have them park their trailers over here in this corner. I keep forgetting to mention, as we're walking up the hill doing our site reviews, 7, 11, and 9, the three that we've already talked about coming up the hill, those are all available this upcoming weekend. Now, over here is site number 13. That site is not available for this weekend. It is already booked. Site 12 actually belongs to the seasonal customer that is just below in number 10. So that one is also not available. But here on site 13, as you can see, you're directly across the bathhouse. I have the doors open in the bathhouse because when it gets used and the floor gets wet, I need to air it out and dry it out. So I decided to open the doors, prop them open. We'll keep them open for a few hours. So here on the top is site 15, where we're standing. Down here is site number 16. Technically it's booked right now, but the person didn't show up. I've got a feeling that they booked, thinking they were booking a site on the New York Cedar Pond Campground, because they are from Manhattan, New York, and they never showed up. And yeah, the site didn't get used even though it was paid for. And then down below, but yeah, site 16 is available for next weekend, or this coming weekend. Site number 17, which is right here, that is also available for this upcoming weekend, as is site number 18, which is the smaller site down below. So this one is fairly large. It's probably our second largest besides site number 11. So if you're looking for large tent sites, I always recommend 17, 13, which is over here, and site number 11 for larger tent sites, to accommodate larger vehicles and or more vehicles. The smaller sites would be here on 15. 16 is a smaller site, although it's probably the most private site because it's the only one on that side of the road and there's nothing but woods beyond that. And then number 18 is a much smaller site. It's in our affordable category, so it's a cheaper site, that one down there. but it too is also available this weekend. And you can actually see all the way down there below 17, all the way at the bottom. That's site number 33, and that site is too available for this upcoming weekend. All right, so that's where we are on the tent sites. Let's move on to our full hookup RV sites down below. All right, we are going to stop right here. We are right next to site number 20, which is one of our seasonals, and 22. Before I move on to talking about the tent sites, I do want to make a quick note that this camper right here, which belongs to one of our seasonals, is actually for sale. They're asking $19,995 for it. It is a 2020 Grand Design Imagine, and they keep it in amazingly good condition. The only time this camper ever gets moved is each season. At the beginning and end of the season, they do bring the camper home with them. They live down in the Lakes region of New Hampshire, so an hour and a half or 2 hours of drive away. So the camper does see some road time, but it doesn't see a lot of road time. It just gets moved from their house to here in the spring, and then they move it from here back to their house in the fall. And they are getting a new camper to start next season. They've done a number of upgrades on it, including, I can tell right here, a nice little solar light on the outside and a keyless entry lock for their door. I know they've done some upgrades on the inside. They've the owner told me that he's upgraded the mattress and done a number of little upgrades on the inside. So if you're looking for a camper, that's actually a really good price for a nice camper like that. It's a couples camper. It's not a bunkhouse, but it can accommodate more than 2 people if you turn the dinette and couch back into a bed. But for a couples camper, this is a nice little camper. It's pretty good size too for just a couples camper. So anyway, all right, moving on. Full hookup sites for this weekend. We actually have a whole bunch of sites available this weekend. This is site number 22. This one is available. Site, and that site goes all the way over to the fire pit here, and then in between 22 and 24 is the laneway to get up into the site number 33, which you can see the picnic table on site number 33 up in there. So that's where that site goes. So from here to the tree belongs to site number 33. This is your parking, and you bring your stuff up there. And then site number 24 and 26 are both available, and you can have those for this weekend. And then we'll move on to the other sites that are available. I've also got site number 29 available as well, and we'll show that to you in a bit. All right, this here is site number 29. So basically goes from that fence over there all the way over to the edge of my camper over here. This site is available. Obviously the picnic table is parked right where the camper would park. We would have to move that over, but anyway, this is site number 29. It's right here by the road, so it makes it for a real easy back in if you've got a large camper. This can handle some pretty large campers, so it is a good spot for that. And then 31 is obviously my camper here, and it's going to stay here for the remainder of this season. But this camper is available for rent as well this weekend. And then that right there is one of our seasonals. And just a quick note on our dump station right here. We have this dump station available for those of you that are tenting and not using the septic that's on the sites, or if you have a site that doesn't have septic, like one of our 10 sites, and you're staying here in a camper. We do have a dump station if need be. You can bring your camper down here and dump it right here at the dump station. This water right here is non-potable, so you don't want to use that water for drinking because it is so close to the dump station. Dump station is available. Unfortunately, I did have somebody call earlier this week wanting to know if our dump station was available for people that are not staying in the park, that wanted to come in and use the dump station and leave. Unfortunately, I can't do that at this time, probably if ever, because for one, the septic system that this dump station is attached to is actually directly under my feet. It's pretty much right here. It isn't built to handle all of the sewer that's coming from all of these campers, as well as stuff that we dump in it from outside. So I am only able to open the dump station for people who are staying here as a guest. If you're staying here as a guest, you're free to use it for as many times as you need it. There is a fee to use it, $10 per dump, but other than that, you know, that dump station is available if you're staying here. If you're not staying here, unfortunately, I can't do it because it's just the capacity of our septic system just isn't there for it. So that is it for this week in terms of what we have for sites available. As you can see, we are pretty wide open for this weekend. And looking ahead to next weekend, we really don't have much left, Labor Day weekend. All I have left for the next weekend in terms of availability, unless someone cancels, is our rental camper over there with the view. That camper is available next weekend. And I have a few tent sites up on the hill. We're about half sold out up on the hill on the tent sites. We do have a few left, like 2 or 3, if that. All of our RV sites for Labor Day weekend are completely sold out. So unfortunately, if you were looking to get a site here for Labor Day weekend, which is the weekend of the fair, unfortunately, I am sold out for that weekend and I don't have any available. So we just have a few tent sites left. And we have that one rental unit over there overlooking the beach, and that's it. So Labor Day looks to be a very busy weekend, but for this weekend, we are largely wide open. So get on the site at cedarpondcampground.com or call us at 603-631-5753, and we'd be happy to get you booked for this upcoming weekend and for the following weekend, the weekend after Labor Day. Right now, things are looking pretty empty, but it's still early. That's 2 weeks out. So there's still plenty of time left to get those campsites booked and everything there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the video for this week, and we will see you next week. Talk to you later. Bye for now.